students, in today's lecture we are going to see what could be the maximum duration of blocking, right? For how long we can do the blocking, that is what is going to be our today's topic, right? So in order to understand that, let's assume what we have to assume. We have to assume a job J1 and J2, right? So J1 is a job J1 and J2 denotes job J2, which contend for resource R, which is actually contending for the resource R, where J1 is higher priority than is of higher priorities, right? So we are actually, in order to understand the maximum duration of blocking, what we are doing, we are assuming two jobs, that is J1 and J2, which are actually willing to contend resource R, right? And plus one condition is been given to us. What is that condition? It's that J1 is of higher priority than J2, right? Now we'll see what is going to be the worst case blocking. The duration of J2 critical section over R. Now even in the worst case, what is going to be the duration of blocking? It's going to be equivalent to the, what it's going to be equivalent? It is going to be the equivalent of the critical section of job J2, right? Now as you can see, J1 and J2, here J1 is denoted by here in this above line and J2 below it, right? It is having two rectangles, that is the yellow one and the blue one, right? And the duration between yellow and blue blocks is denoting blocking time, right? And J2 preempted immediately after its lock resource. So when using the priority inheritance protocol, J2 might be transitively blocked for duration of the next priority job critical section. What these people are trying to say, when we are using the priority inheritance protocol, in that case, in that case, what is the probability? The probability is that the J2 might be transitively blocked for a particular duration or particular time slot. The J2 could be blocked, and for how long it's going to be blocked? It's going to be blocked for the duration which is equivalent to the next priority job critical section. So whatever the job next priority job is coming, its critical sections is going to be equivalent to the J2's blocking time. So this is clear. So worst case, what is going to happen? It is blocked every other lower priority job. What is the worst case scenario in this case? The worst case scenario in this case is that it is being blocked. And who is blocking it? Every other lower priority job. All the lower priority job, it is blocking it. Why? For the full duration of each lower priority job's critical section. So what they are trying to say is that we have assumed the job J1 and J2, right? And the condition is being given to us. What that condition is? The condition is that J1 is having higher priority than J2. Then they are saying the job J1 which is having higher priority than J2 is going to be blocked. Now for how long it is going to be blocked? This can be defined by the critical section. Whatever the critical section is going to be the job J2, which is of less priority, is going to be the blocking time, is going to be equivalent to the blocking time of job J1. This is clear. So this could be the worst case, right? Now what is the maximum duration of blocking? For how long the blocking will take place? See, the blocking time take place in case of priority ceiling protocols implement avoidance blocking. First, initially they try not to be blocked, right? The priority ceiling protocol always try to avoid blocking, so do not exhibit transient blocking. So the chances of transient blocking is least. Now the block for at most duration of the one low priority critical sections, what is going to be the blocking time or blocking duration or the maximum blocking durations of one low priority critical section, right? Now the direct blocking, we'll understand what is direct blocking, right? Low priority job lock the resource and can be blocked for up to the duration of a critical section of that job. What these people are trying to say is that we have understood, we have already seen the example in which J1 and J2 is having the two job in which the J1 is having the high priority than J2, then J1 get blocks for the critical section of job J2, which is of lesser priority than J1, right? Similar, they are saying what is direct blocking. In case of direct blocking, what happens? Whenever the low priority job locks the resource, we know what is the criteria of locking the resource. When two jobs simultaneously ask for how the resource, what happens? The blocking take place. How? Or the deadlock situations comes. How? Suppose job J1, it sends the request to for resource R. So it request get granted, the resource get locked, that is, it has been used by job J1, and for that time the request given by any other job will be denied. So what they are trying to say in direct blocking, that the low priority job blocks the resource. Whatever job, whichever job which is having the lowest priority, that actually locks the resource and can be blocked for the duration of critical section of that job. And what is going to be the blocking time, or how long the low priority job can block certain resource, can be calculated by the duration of critical section of that job. Whatever the critical section of the job is there, which is actually locking the resources, that is going to be equivalent to the blocking time of that low priority job. This is clear? Now, the avoidance blocking. How can you actually avoid the blocking? Is there any criteria? Is there any solution of avoiding this blocking that take place? Is there any? Yes, there is. See, resource is free, but the priority ceiling rule deny access. What happens? Suppose job J1 and J2 is there. Now, what the job J1's request for the resource R, but at that time when job J1 is actually requesting for the request resource R, then priority ceiling rules actually denied the access. The priority ceiling rule says कि no, the job which actually request for the resources cannot access that resource. In such situation you can avoid blocking, right? This is clear. Now, how we are going to calculate the worst case blocking duration? Is there any way by which you can actually calculate the worst case blocking duration? Even the worst situations, what is going to be the duration of blocking? Yes, you can, right? First, it is simple. Second, more efficient, right? Now, why it is simple? Assume can block for a duration of longest critical section of the lower priority job. What it is assume? That any job which is having the lowest priority, right, can actually block the resource. And what is that blocking time? It is going to be equivalent to the critical section of that very particular job, that we have already understood so many times, right? Now, probably the overestimates blocking duration, likely not too sufficient. You can sometimes even overestimate the blocking duration, which is not too significant, which is not too appropriate, right? Now, more efficient. How it is more efficient? See, trace the direct conflict over the lower priority job, find the longest critical section. How you can actually, first you have to find out the direct conflicts with the priority jobs. What low priority jobs, there could be two jobs which is of the same low priority. So in that case you have to trace the direct conflict, the conflict that exists in between the low priority job, that you have to find out and find the longest. And out of those two, for example, I'll give you an example how. Suppose there are job J1 and J2, both job J1 is of low priority. Now both are lower priority. Now which has to be given the preference? Now we have to find out the critical section of job J1 and J2, and whichever job is having longest critical section, that is going to be opted, right? So this is how you can actually find out. Now, trace the indirect conflicts with the lower priority job that may inherit priority and cause avoidance blocking. Now we have to see the indirect, that was the direct conflicts when the two jobs were having the same lower priorities, right? Now there could be a probability that the indirect conflicts with the lower priority job that may inherit the priority and cause avoidance blocking. Find the longest critical section. In this case also you have to find out which job is having the longest critical section, right? Now, greatest of this is maximum possible blocking time, and out of this, whoever's longest critical section, whichever job is having longest critical section, is going to have maximum possible blocking time. So this is how we actually calculate, directly or indirectly. These are the two ways of finding out or tracing out the critical sections of low priority jobs. When there are more than one low priority job, in that case we calculate its critical section. Whomsoever is having the longest critical section will be opted, and this is going to be the maximum possible blocking time. So you, in short, you can say that okay, fine, the maximum blocking time is equivalent to the longest critical section of, don't forget, of lower priority job. Clear? Now we are going to see after this, after considering the maximum time of blocking, next topic that we are going to consider is the effect of scheduling test. What are going to be the effects of scheduling test? See, job which blocked due to the resource excess affects whether a system can be scheduled. Whatever job get blocked due to the resource excess, I have told you that there are two jobs are there, J1 and J2. J1 and J2 ask for the same resource ask at the same times or simultaneously, then in that case the one job which does not get the access get blocked, right? So what they are trying to say is that a job which blocks due to the resource access affects whether a system can be scheduled or not. So on the basis of the blocking of the job, you can actually find out, or it can actually have an impact on the system that is needs to be scheduled. Now, how to adjust the scheduling test? Is there any way by which you can actually adjust the scheduling test? Yes, you do have. See, incorporate maximum blocking time is a part of execution time of a job. What is going to be the incorporate maximum blocking time? Incorporate maximum blocking time can be defined or can be denoted as a part of the execution of a job, and scheduling test then runs as normal. In that case, what happens? What is going to be impact? Whatever the scheduling test is there, it's going to run as normal. See, priority ceiling protocols clearly preferred where possible, and you can actually use priority ceiling protocols wherever there's a probability of using it. I think that's all for today, and still if you have any problem, please feel free to ask me. Thank you so very much.